Hello, Dr. Cook. This is Daniel Griffith
Kirsten Lutz,
and Matt Winchell.
We represent BIT Consulting Incorporated. Today's presentation is on the apparel supply chain. First, we will begin by showing a brief clip from the company Zara demonstrating their supply chain strategy. We will be incorporating some of these strategies throughout our presentation.
We will begin today's discussion with the global supply chain strategy for the apparel industry, focusing on what makes it agile. Next, we will take a look at each one of the 6 drivers that should be considered when designing a supply chain network. From there, we'll discuss the 4 forces that affect supply chain strategies. Finally, we will go over how each of the AAAs help build a sustainable, competitive supply chain. The apparel industry is agile due to its ability to respond in an environment of unpredictable demand and long lead times. Being agile is a combination of agile and lean strategies. Agile practices use make-to-order for low volume and unpredictable demand products and a make-to-stock strategy for high volume products. These conditions allow postponement strategies to thrive. We will discuss postponement strategies more in depth as we go on in the presentation. With regards to technology, having software to obtain real-time, accurate information enhances the performance and output of the supply chain. Having vast amount of real-time information enables organizations to be agile. Zara is an example of a agile company as it uses a push strategy during the beginning stages of production, following lean principles, and transitions to a pull strategy following agile principles after the postponement point. This is a framework that demonstrates where agile falls under the unpredictable demand along with long lead times.
We will now be looking at the 6 drivers that affect the supply chain. First, we have sourcing. It is not uncommon for companies in this industry to have more than one supplier. This is due to each supplier having their own strengths and limitations. Other reasons to have multiple suppliers is to mitigate risks such as child labor or natural disasters. An example of this is Ann Taylor, which has 180 different suppliers located all over the world. This is an advantage to Ann Taylor as the suppliers will compete for their business. Companies outsource much of its labor, materials, and delivery to cut down on costs. Over the years, there has been a shift away from vertically integrated supply chains where different stages of the process are done in-house to horizontally integrated. This can partly be explained by the emphasis to minimize cost. Next, we will look at pricing. Due to the varying demand for apparel products, prices must be flexible. Having a strong brand position in the industry is vital to succeed. This is due to consumer perception that higher quality products come at a higher price. An example of this is the difference between Walmart brand apparel products and J. Crew apparel products. Next, we will look at inventory. Inventory strategies are closely intertwined with the strategy of postponement because it aids in achieving healthy inventory levels. A postponement strategy is when a manufacturer produces a base product such as a plain white t-shirt. The base product is then distributed to locations that have been previously segmented in order to accommodate the demand for certain consumer trends based on demographics for that segment. The base product is transformed to meet the demand. Next, we will have facilities. Deciding where to locate facilities is a very important aspect in the planning of a supply chain network. In the long run, it is extremely expensive to relocate a physical facility once it has been built. To help avoid this costly error, a decision support system can be built and implemented to fully optimize facility locations. The software can minimize the total distances between facilities based on end user and supplier locations. Transportation. In order for an apparel company to be lean, it must minimize waste as optimally as possible. This not only includes monetary waste, but also waste from time and talent. There are three main goals of lean transportation that all connect to each other. The first is to increase the frequency of deliveries, which can help match demand quicker. As a result, it allows for lot sizes held in inventory to be lower, which is the second goal of lean transportation. This leads to lower costs for inventory as a result of the smaller lot sizes. These goals are lean because there is the concept of constant replenishment with short lead times and a predictable demand. On the other hand, Zara utilizes agile transportation methods. Zara locates manufacturers and suppliers close to their retail outlets in an attempt to be more responsive and adaptive to the market. Finally, we will look at information. In order for a company to survive in this industry, it must have an up-to-date, real-time information. Information such as customer preferences and trends will help ensure customization of the product goes smoothly. Channel party members must place a high priority on transmitting information quickly and fluently between each other. Zara accomplishes this by using handheld devices that quickly update the user on where inventory levels are.
We open the discussion on the four forces by defining integrative management. Integrative management is the concept of cooperating, planning, integrating, and coupling supply chain members. Maintaining a consistent image becomes increasingly difficult as you shift from vertical integration, where things are done in-house, to horizontal integration. As seen in the diagram, the apparel industry fits well in the upper right corner of the zone of strategic fit. There is uncertain demand, but the industry is responsive to the changing market. Tying integrative management with this zone of strategic fit means to align the company's goals and objectives together to achieve a fit supply chain. Next, we will talk about responsiveness in the supply chain network. A responsive business model follows a pull strategy. The process to order supplies and build the product is launched when the sale of that product is made. However, in the apparel industry, the majority of retail stores utilize a push model, also known as an anticipatory business model. As seen on the screen now, in a push strategy, the process starts with product forecasting before the sale is made. This approach allows for economies of scale purchasing, which reduces costs.
The next force is financial sophistication. There are various metrics to measure financial sophistication. However, the one the apparel industry uses most is dwell time. Dwell time is how long inventory sits around, consuming time and money resources. Companies like Zara promise low dwell time as part of their competitive advantage. Finally, globalization is the last force. Globalization has been tremendous in shaping the apparel industry supply chain. There has been much discussion around the globe regarding labor practices. Additionally, apparel products have been faced with steep taxes and tariffs. Today, the global trading of apparel products is governed by the World Trade Organization. Next is our discussion of the AAA supply chain. Engineering a AAA supply chain is a proven method to generate a profitable supply chain. Our first A is agility, the most critical of the three A's. A supply chain must be able to respond to short-term changes in demand or supply quickly. Implementing a postponement design for an apparel company is a strong method for obtaining agility. we should design the apparel so that it shares common parts and processes initially, then differs immensely at the end of the production process. Postponement in the apparel industry is the best way to quickly respond to the fluctuation of demand. The incorporation of a sound logistics system or partner. A great example of this is Zara's parent company, Inditex. Inditex plants use a just-in-time system developed in cooperation with the logistics experts from Motorola Motor, which gives the company a level of control that would be impossible were it entirely dependent on outsiders. The implication is that it is profitable for other apparel companies to execute dependable logistics, either in-house or, like Zara, create an alliance with third party for their logistical needs. Next, having a contingency inventory is key. Keeping a small but inexpensive inventory of components necessary to finish the apparel in case of the supply chain breakdown. This way, service levels can still be maintained. The second A of our AAA supply chain is adaptability. Flexibility is needed in the supply chain to stay up to date with technology and the market. The best supply chains identify structural changes before they can even occur. Companies can achieve this by, first, researching all economies and taking note of opportunities in different markets. Next, evaluating the needs of the ultimate consumer. Finally, determine where a company's products are in terms of the product life cycle and technology life cycle. The last of our AAAs is alignment. Typically in the supply chain, each company only tries to maximize its own interest. However, companies that are great take the time to align their interests with their business partners in order to avoid potential havoc. One way to align interest is to incorporate risk sharing and profit sharing in the business contract. This way, any profits seen on one side of the supply chain can be shared with the other side. Motivation plays a big role in aligning these financial interests. There are three I's in alignment. The first I is information. Alignment of information allows companies in the supply chain to access, for example, forecasting models. Zara does a good job of this, as we mentioned earlier, with their real-time sharing of information. This information can get to suppliers and manufacturers to get the information they need to be efficient. Alignment of identities is our second I. This means each player in the supply chain has clearly identified the roles and responsibilities to reduce redundancies. This means that each person in the, for instance, apparel supply chain knows what they do as defined by the business model of the company. The last I is incentives. Alignment of incentives creates situations where each company tries to maximize their own profit. They also simultaneously enhance the output of the supply chain. Whether it's UPS or manufacturer or supplier, when they maximize their profit, they're going to push things through the supply chain faster.
So in conclusion, the previous topics we have gone over describe steps for an effective supply chain. We have shown how apparel companies like Zara and Ann Taylor have developed highly successful supply chains and use it to remain competitive. When analyzing the apparel industry, it is important to not base success solely on speed and cost effectiveness, but also to consider the importance of agility, adaptability, and alignment. Before designing the supply chain for an apparel company, you should definitely consider the 6 drivers that will affect the supply chain. Lastly, find the proper balance of responsiveness and efficiency that best fits in your company's strategy and business objectives.